that was, oh, I was perfectly willing and ready to accept a loss in Game 7. I didn't expect the Rockets to be down by 10 early in the game while Steph Curry was 0 on the night.
Yeah.
I somehow, like an idiot, I had let the Warriors lull me into a sense of complacency over the last couple games, over games 5 and 6, into thinking that Buddy Hield couldn't show up as it's Klay Thompson. No, as Klay Thompson reincarnated. It was the catch and shoot.
Yep.
And also I think I'm gonna take more of a break on Udoka than some people are right now, just because clearly you got to give credit to Kerr for making the adjustments, realizing that the Rockets and their big men were giving you this hassle, making Looney somehow an important factor in this game. But also, I'm still left wondering, okay, what exactly is Udoka supposed to do when this team has no shooters on it?
Yeah.
The offense desperately needs more ball movement. They need cutters. They need to be a better offense. But they don't. I'm sitting here saying, after the first round of the playoffs, they don't have a Buddy Hield on their team.
Yeah.
And I don't know what Udoka's supposed to do about it.
Yeah, well, and that'll be a big theme of the show today. It'll be the offseason for sure. I mean, they've got to find some shooting, and I don't know that it exists. Well, it might exist on the roster, but Reed Shepherd is rotting over there while he learns how to be a professional basketball player. You know, they've got guys that can shoot, but we're talking something more high level than, okay, maybe our third overall pick from last year evolves into something for us.
Well, and Sean, you look at what could have happened last night. What did the Warriors do? They said, hey, man, Fred VanVleet's been killing us.
Yeah.
We got to give Fred VanVleet the treatment. We got to just focus our energies on him. And let's see. Oh, no Gary Payton in the game. How on earth are you going to defend Jalen Green? Oh, Jalen Green will do it himself. He's just not going to show up.
Yep.
He's just going to I see some people actually upset. Why on earth would you be upset with that?
No, he was a big zero last. He's a big zero for a lot of the series. No, I was the other way. Like when he would come back in the fourth quarter, I'm like, okay, why are we doing this? I thought it was really interesting. We'll have some audio from Draymond Green a little bit later on in the show. I'm just kind of pulling together some of the audio from last night after the game. But Draymond Green, very, very complimentary of the Rockets last night in his post-game availability. And it was funny. He singled out Jabari Smith Jr. as one of the players that really impressed him. And Jabari was one of the ones where I thought I'd have given him more minutes in this series. I'd have taken some of Jalen's minutes and in one game they did. They took Jalen was on the bench at the end of that really close game in Game 4, I think it was. So I think look as far as last night goes, they picked a really bad time to have their worst offensive game. In the building where they played more comfortable offensively in this series at home, they looked lost out there. I don't know if the stats back up that this was their worst offensive game.
No, it wasn't their worst offensive game, but they shot 40% from the field and they were horrible in the paint.
Well,
the Warriors were better from three than the Rockets were in the paint.
Well, this is why I say it was their worst offensive game. They weren't even getting threes in the game last night.
Yeah.
They weren't even. The Warriors are making 7 threes in the first quarter. I think the Rockets took 2. And that's what I mean. I know the percentages are what they are, and the Rockets made a bunch of shots in garbage time that probably skewed things a little bit. This was a horrible game. I mean, they're still in the 70s midway through the fourth quarter of a game 7 at games where it looked like you took the life out of the Warriors in those 2 games. I mean, the same people that were completely dismissing the Rockets both going into this series and they were down 3-1 were picking them last night like they were the Warriors of the 20 teens. And so that's why I say it was their worst offensive game. I'm just talking aesthetics. They weren't getting any good shots. The good shots they were getting, they were missing. Alperen Şengün had a good series. I'm not here to these graphics where they're putting Şengün's face next to Larry Bird and saying these are the only 2 to ever do this, this, and this. I guess that's true. I mean, there's just counting stats that you're giving me here. Alperen Şengün offensively was not a good player in this series. He was good defensively. He's improved defensively. He himself after the game said he needs to improve offensively.
Right, yeah, this is one of those days where you could actually use, if you just rephrase Şengün's quotes a little bit, you're going to get 29 people from Turkey attacking you because you're criticizing Alperen Şengün.
He said this, now, not me.
But this is where I am with Alperen Şengün, because I know that you've gotten very frustrated and disgusted with Şengün because you feel like people are giving him too much credit. I can see, I will make the 22-year-old excuse for Alperen Şengün. For one, I mean, yes, he has criticized himself that he needs to make improvements offensively, but also when there's just no spacing and everything is all cluttered up and the Warriors are playing that zone and they don't have the offense where Alperen Şengün can find the open shooter or what have you, they're just stagnant. There's only so much he can do at this moment. The problem with Jalen Green is that he had every opportunity. And even, listen, when you're paying somebody $35 million a year, it doesn't excuse getting blitzed and getting double teamed doesn't excuse scoring in the single digits.
Right.
That's not, you know what really good players do? They still produce, they still find ways to make the offense go. So it doesn't excuse that whatsoever. But Şengün has a pulse. And Jalen Green in 6 of the games in this series just didn't have a pulse.
No, Şengün, you're absolutely right. Like that, there's a level to where you go, well, they're just young. You know, Alperen Şengün, you're right. That he had a series where you go, okay, he'll be, and he's going against Draymond Green. And you and I have taken our shots at Draymond Green in this series offensively. Defensively, he's still very good. He was excellent last night. Yeah, Şengün, the 3 guys that really matter in terms of, okay, they're young and this is going to get better, are if they're going to be on this team moving forward, and that's a whole other conversation, are Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, and Amen Thompson. Amen Thompson, by the end of the series, looked like Amen from the regular season. He was fine. Other than the calf injury, he was fine. Alperen Şengün, did enough at both ends of the floor where I'm like, all right, he needs – if Alperen Şengün just made the easy shots that he's creating for himself, he would be fine. Jalen was a disaster other than game 2. He scored 38 points in game 2, and he scored 55 in the other 6 games combined. Like he was a mess this whole series.
I mean, you talk about the difference in how do you feel about this young player and how many excuses you're going to give him. Thompson was not himself games 1 through 4, and then all of a sudden games 5, 6, 7. Oh, I mean, you talk about the difference in pulse.
Yeah.
Like Jalen Green's dead on arrival. Amen Thompson is out there breaking stethoscopes with his incredibly strong pulse.
Yes.
The doctor's hand. He sprained the doctor's hand as he held the stethoscope to his chest.
He's got a wrap on his wrist after taking his pulse.
They're out there. They're in the doctor's office saying, "All right, who's going to go in there and take his pulse?" And they're all like, they've all got that Jalen Green look in their eyes, like, I don't want to go in there.
Yeah. It's going to be. We're going to get a ton of texts today about what they need to do this offseason. I think this is just one person continually sending this text. Appreciate you being up early this morning with us, texter. Game 7 at home with momentum. Rockets are frauds. Didn't even show up for Game 7. Rockets are frauds. I can't wait to see how else I don't think they're frauds. I just think they're a young team who has some growing to do. If this were a football team, Seth, the offensive coordinator would be getting fired today. That's how I feel about this team. That's how I feel about this team. They need shooters. There is no excuse to look as discombobulated as they do offensively, even against a good Warriors team. Throughout 48 minutes, like there's nothing easy that they get on offense. Like their best offensive games are because Fred VanVleet was unconscious. Games 5 and 6 were their best offensive. Well, really 4, 5, and 6 were their best offensive games. Well, how did they do it? Fred VanVleet shot like he showed up from another planet.
If I could fault the Warriors for anything in games 5 and 6, it would be that they probably overcorrected for Jalen Green's 38-point game.
Yeah.
Because when they gave Fred VanVleet the treatment that they'd been giving Jalen Green, Jalen Green did nothing with it in Game 7. So, would you fire the offensive coordinator, and then what else would you do? Is your appetite for superstar coming in here, greater or less than it was before this series began?
Mine's great. You know, in generalities, I'd need to know who the it's a horrible answer to your question, but it's true.
Right.
I need to know who the superstar is. I need to know what they're giving up. I need to know all those. In general, I am open to it because there are people that are just closed to it. There are people that are like, one more year, run it back, let them grow, and see if it looks better next year.
I can't. If all they do is run it back, I cannot envision how Jalen Green is part of that equation. If you bring in a superstar and Jalen Green's not one of the trade pieces, I'm open to Jalen Green being an overpaid guy, but who still does contribute. He just can't be the sole focus of attention in your future or one of the focuses of your attention in future. But when it comes
bringing in to get buckets for you, like that's
any argument about who's untouchable leaves Jalen Green completely out.
Right.
He's the difference between Ahmed Thompson and Jalen Green is just night and day.
Yep, I would say that. I think you nailed it. All right, a lot of texts rolling in about Ime Udoka not using his bench. We'll listen to all those things, and there's a lot to dig into from both this game last night and this season for the Rockets. Overall, how are we feeling about it? That's what I'm curious about. I know that the sting, the wounds are still fresh from last night, but undoubtedly this is a team that's moving in the right direction. And the lottery is a week from today, by the way. So we'll get, and which, by the way, that's a huge talking point for the offseason is the NBA draft lottery coming up in a week.